What's good YouTube, and welcome to the house. We have a very interesting market watch for y'all today, but first, don't be stupid and set fireworks off inside. Practice safety whenever you're using fire. I've already seen like a Twitter thing of a spinning Pikachu set off inside in the fire department having to be called. Use your head if you're playing with fire today. That being said, tons of crazy different movements were in the national season where it's not just the Xth future format buyout. We'll be covering those too, as well as some suggestions for those formats from the stream as well as myself, because I've gone through them and looked at, yeah, you probably have a pile of this card and you're just trying to ram it down people's throats and actually make some sales, versus this card has a crazy history in the game and seems very interesting for why you're bringing it up. Let's start though with Ancient Warriors and the cards that are actually moving first. Ancient Warrior Masterful Sun Mu is bought out and going up in price, only 10 listings. We also see Liu Zhuan, I'm probably murdering names. Virtuous here is also at 25 listings and starting to go as people look over here and say, wow, none of these have reprints. My thoughts are though, even though you've seen this in the game at one point, played in Tri Brigade as well as Double Dragon Lord's probably the most known card out of Rise of the Duelist, I feel like these cards that haven't had their reprints, at some point Konami will get around to that, right? Konami, you'll eventually do something, and even if they don't, this isn't as splashable as an engine like Punk, Adventure Tokens, those sorts of things. So do keep that in consideration, that, you know, even if there's not a reprint yet and you don't know when or where it's going to happen, it doesn't make it instantaneously money. And we're seeing Rogue be cheaper and cheaper right now, especially as we head towards a format that feels more potentially condensed depending on how it plays out on the TCG ban list. But that is still speculation with ban list and future sets and how the OCG transfers over. Splash Mage, it's about time this card got some recognition. It got a holographic and goes from the past, and it's going up thanks to Marine Sauce. That deck is really fun, and I've been watching it more and more. It's taking over dueling, but half of the matches feel like it has a Marine Sauce matchup, as well as an Adagnister Towers like everywhere. But the common is even going up, which is very shocking considering half of sets are holographic now, to the point where you're even getting multiple of the same common sometimes in a pack. But Eternity Code had a really botched release. Recall, it was released different times in the EU and US and shorted on production. One of the last sets to be so, along with Rise. When we're looking at this set, well, the common's actually a little bit of money, and the ultras are now spiking really hard to where it's almost $4 to $5 to get one for being the lower end right now. I really do like this card though, and I think it's pretty neat that it is finding a place within the metagame. Ritual Sanctuary Secret Rare. Yeah, that's where player brain and market player. Look, recognition in the form of money. Wait, it's more expensive. Less people can enjoy it, right? Player brain and market brain can definitely conflict at times. Dragons of Legend Unleashed version of Ritual Sanctuary Secret Rare, and then you do have an ultra rare, so an alternate holo, also very low in listings now. This is seeing a little bit of play in Drytrons with results. So we are seeing different teched out 2022 Nationals list really bringing it, and I love that innovation, the next level, people going with different things. We're seeing the reaction to that as well on the market. It does have two different commons that are still very affordable that you can use my TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying with, whether you're hollowing it out or not. Now, a quick suggestion would be to use code What'sGood5 for 5% off and to support the channel directly if you are already deciding that you are going to be buying Darkwing Blast, because look at Power of the Elements everywhere now, including Tier 0, currently is sold out like Power of the Elements. You just can't find it, and Darkwing Blast is starting to get very, very hyped. We now have the new Dogmatica stuff that is very good, and just introduction after introduction is having people go, wait a minute, the set afterwards is also good. A friendly reminder, though, is that Darkwing Blast is way up in MSRP. It's the first biggest jump. Like, afterwards, it's another, I think, like 30 cents on top of the already 20-cent jump. So it is now $4.50 a packet MSRP, which also means vendors are paying more, which is why it's boosted a little more. But this is still under $60 a box if you are getting a case with code What'sGood5 for 5% off and to support the channel directly. I would still suggest, however, not getting it to bust open unless you and several friends are feeling frisky and going for a gambling night trying to Starlight dig, because first off, we don't even know what the Starlights are, and the Starlight market has been very volatile to where even ghost spells like 300, you know? And second off, when you're going and opening and tearing open, you are less likely than more likely to pull a playset of the secret rare you're after. I like sealed to get and keep sealed of certain sets. You have Blackwings, which are a very storied kind of archetype in there as the cover, and then you also have just tons of really good support and decks coming in here too. It's one of those perfect storms for collectability as well as playability, and that's more so why I like the sealed. Otherwise, wait and go with the singles, right? I want to actually give Konami some props. You know, the rare, actually, good job, Konami, keep it up. Whoever is working over at Konami, consistently getting us unique stuff like this in the first place is a gold, so gold, silver, bronze, and the marked first place winner, second place. Like, they may just seem like trinkets, right? But actual medals in a case presentation that look good, small things on Konami's ends that really add to stuff like OTS days, you love to see it. And yeah, they actually give back to the players competing and give a collectible to people that are seeking them out on the secondary market. Haven't seen any of these up for sale yet for people asking value, value, value. But you do have the OTS trophies that are acrylic stands that are really actually thick for what they are, and those go first place pretty commonly near 200, the second place under 100, and the others like lower, and they're also smaller, to be fair. But yeah, best offer accepted 200. They're getting a little cheaper because the production run was a bit long, but they switched them out, right? You had Yugi, you had Kaiba, you had Yugi and Kaiba, which then became the most expensive, and now you have medals. So I really like that they're switching it up. They're not just continuing to do something over a long period of time. Like, they are now giving different eras of special collectibles in the OTS shops, and good job at Konami. Please, please, more of this for the players. Herald of Pure Light for the umpteenth Splight buyout. Rank 2 only has one printing. It reads, you can detach an Xyz material from this card, then target a monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then shuffle a card from your hand into the deck. So you're basically able to use resources in a grind state, and again, only one printing. Rank 2 people go crazy for it. Right now, currently, no listings completely bought out. So if you have one, you can set the market. DD Crows also for this format. Every single version is now above $5. So, you know, if you're past formats that had Crow, like the very few such as Gladiator Beast, you might have a deck with some extra money, or it's time to start going through your bulk and digging. Heck, even Dual Devastator, I believe, has one of the variants for this. I have it on the relevance, so let's actually go price high to low to prove the point. But yeah, look, even Champion Pack 5 commons, Strike of Neos rares, Speed Duel Tournament Pack 3 had a common. Remember, you can play Speed Duel cards outside of Speed Duels. It's confusing for a lot of people. You cannot play generic general cards in Speed Duels. It must be marked Speed Duels, but Speed Duel cards can be played everywhere in Yu-Gi-Oh! And yeah, we have the tons of different versions, including Dual Devastator, going up in price here. Chaos Hunter was the interesting card that was brought to my attention. This still only has one holo, which is the original secret rare, and it is already moving in price, but there are tons of different versions that I would grab sooner than later just to have access to this card. This is one that has found its way back through history multiple times. The attack isn't enough for the problem that we're dealing with, though, that's mentioned, but I still just really like this card. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can discard the one card to special summon this card from your hand. Your opponent can't remove cards from play. You know what's getting hyped and bought out a lot and likes to banish cards? Oh, Exo Sisters! Yeah, once per turn, quick effect, detach a material, banish a card your opponent controls, and then it tags out into another thing that would be Xyz this turn that lets you banish a card. And what stops all of those? Well, it's only 2,500 attack, though. This is 28, and this is ramming range at 25. So it's not a full stop, all answer be all, but it definitely can shut down very heavily your opponent on what they intend to do and try to do. And I like this card for its history in the game, as well as potential against certain formats / abilities of, yeah, stop banishing my stuff. The Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode is interesting because the Ghost Rare flopped hard initially, right? But we're entering a format where a lot of people are speculating Splight, and a lot of money is moving around that already, right? I did the money and moo and same time, and I almost just mooed. Yeah, that's the Texan in me, right? But when we look through here, we do have the lower versions starting to raise and rise up. I actually refreshed all tabs from stream, so I gotta get things in order. But look at this. The dual power version even is above market price 6.9 listings. Nice. And it's starting to rebound a bit. I don't know why all the versions went down versus the Ghost Rare, but the Splight combo blocks Nibiru with the gigantic Splight guy that just shuts off your opponent from being able to activate the effects. So, how to deal with a board that has 2 Toads and the Splight, cards that actually are negations themselves? Bowling for boards, the classic. A lot of people are expecting to play this over Nibiru in that format, so be aware of that and why it's spiking a little bit, but still a suggestion I agree with. I think you should have access to Sphere mode, and it's also collectible being a god card. Guardian Chimera was brought up, and it's, John, what do you think of this card? And at first I was like, all branded Despia stuff's going down in price, but then we got the new reveals, right? And then, to a lot of people's points, you're going to have a ton of the Albaz stuff reprinted in this year's Megatons, but this is from Battle of Chaos, which is most likely beyond the tins. We've had curveballs with all the tins, but I think this curveball's already been announced, right? That we have Droplet, Ash Blossom, pass cards. It's already broken its rules, so unless it went further and did a set it didn't announce, which is unlikely because they need future Megatons, Guardian Chimera is going to be one of those cards that people are going to want once they have all the other Albaz stuff, and is still going to see a lot of play. Right now it's 41, 42. They were available at just 40 the other day, and they quickly shoot up with an up sales rate versus before right now. You can see a lot of people versus the new announcement were going, and it still has a pretty incredible sales rate. So I would get that sooner than later, all things considered, even if Albaz takes less and less of a pie chart cut as we hit the Splight tier limit format, and it could go down during this. I think it will be spiking, especially with the new support from Darkwing Blast that Darkwing Duck, it's so hard. Everything has correlation, and I'm such a boomer. But seriously, this card, I think, down the road will be heavily sought after, especially when Megaton reprints give everybody, well, I might as well get it all together, and they start going after this. I had several funny cards pop up that were pointed out to me where, look, the new super rare, it is cheaper than the common. Just get the super rare, the DDD Baphomet that got super hyped for a long time. So it's funny when you get these snapshots where, well, just by this, but it's not just like from a brand new reprint, right? Sometimes things get a little crazy, like Gozuki right now, Duelist Saga, very hard to get card where you have other versions that have been printed out, right, that are not as nice as that, but the commons all around it, check it out, are very similar priced to Duelist Saga. $4, $5 for the OTS, yeah, and that's a common, but the Duelist Saga version, you have a bunch of Italian at first, is $5. So you can just get the holo for $1 more on a card that has been hyped to $8, $9, $10 a ton of times versus the other just being right there. And it even has more listings than the commons. I find that to be a bit of comedy. Then Chupacabra. All right, it was a funny snapshot that is missed for this video, but the common was bought out to a point that is higher than the secret, and if you put price high to low right now, it shows you that history because the common's ahead of the secret and ultra rare originals out of a structure deck. Like, sometimes the market blows my mind, yes, but people spent their money this way, not looking at other versions, and you can see the spike, you can see the buyout, and you can see people still, today, spending $3 instead of looking over and getting themselves a secret rare. Like, you're flexing by not flexing. Just get the holographic if you believe in the danger engine. But look at this. Somebody spent $7 on the structure deck common. Somebody else, I think, down here, another $7, $9. Oh, it's so ugly that people are just falling for. Look up. Whenever you buy a card, look up all versions of the card, please. You may have your reason for going for the common over, but don't pay more for a common than original holographics and stuff like that. Now, they are also lower on quantities. Now, people are grabbing a lot of the danger stuff just to have the engine, and again, it's sometimes smart to have engines like that. Anti-Spell Fragrance is the last one, where I see certain commons, such as the Zombie Horde Structure Deck common above Dual Devastator, which is fair because of quality control. You can make that argument, although you could still, you're dealing with a person, customer service, you should get a near mint copy. But also Battles of Legend, it passed in market price for a bit there when that ultra is like perfectly fine. So it's just funny to see certain not as like crazy commons get above in market price from the supers and other things, but now you see people going for the other versions. This card's getting heavily played in the metagame, so different things get grabbed after different times. But as things settle out, please actually look around and click other places and make sure you're spending your money smartly. Just do yourself, spend 10 extra seconds. Oh, I see it has other versions. Let's check that out. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy these conversations and seeing a little bit of comedy behind what actually sells it sometimes versus what people have listed.